For 3 years, Eleanor Martinez sat in doctors' offices being told the same thing. It's just anxiety, Mrs. Martinez. At your age, it's very common. But Eleanor knew something was wrong. Every time she stood up, her world collapsed. Her heart would race like she'd run a marathon. The room would spin until she had to grab onto walls just to stay upright. What took 3 years to discover would change everything she thought she knew about getting older. Eleanor had been a high school math teacher in Tucson for 42 years. She was known for her sharp mind and steady presence. Students called her Mrs. M and respected her no-nonsense approach to algebra and life. At 68, Eleanor was still mentally sharp as a tack. She volunteered at the library, played bridge twice a week, and took long walks with her golden retriever, Buster. She prided herself on being the kind of woman who could handle anything. But her body was about to present her with a mystery that would test everything she believed about herself and about trusting doctors. It started during her retirement party. Eleanor stood up to give a speech and suddenly felt like she was going to faint. Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. She gripped the podium and pushed through, but something had shifted. From that day forward, simple tasks became overwhelming challenges. Standing in the grocery store checkout line left her trembling and nauseous. Getting up from bed in the morning felt like climbing a mountain, but the worst part? No one believed her. Eleanor's symptoms were bewildering. Every time she stood up, within minutes she'd feel dizzy, nauseous, and confused. Her heart would race from 70 beats per minute to over 130. She'd break out in a cold sweat and feel like she was going to vomit. "It's like my body forgot how to stand up," she told her daughter Maria during one of their weekly phone calls. Doctor after doctor ran the same tests. Blood work came back normal. Heart tests showed no problems. Brain scans were clear, but Eleanor continued to suffer. Mrs. Martinez, her primary care physician, said during their 4th visit, "I think you're experiencing anxiety. It's very common in women your age, especially after retirement. The symptoms you're describing, racing heart, dizziness, nausea, these are classic signs of panic attacks." Eleanor left with a prescription for anti-anxiety medication and a referral to a psychiatrist, but the medication didn't help. If anything, Eleanor felt worse. She started to doubt herself. Maybe she was just anxious about getting older. Maybe this was all in her head. Her world began to shrink. She stopped volunteering at the library because standing for more than a few minutes became unbearable. Bridge games were canceled when she couldn't sit upright without feeling dizzy. Even walking Buster became a challenge. "I felt like I was disappearing," Eleanor later recalled. "Like the person I'd always been was just fading away." Maria watched her mother's transformation with growing concern. This wasn't the strong, confident woman who had raised 3 children and managed a classroom full of teenagers for 4 decades. "Mom, something is really wrong," Maria said during a visit. "This isn't anxiety. This isn't normal aging. We need to find someone who will listen." That's when Maria started researching Eleanor's symptoms online. She found stories of other people, mostly younger women, who described exactly what her mother was experiencing, and they all had something called POTS. The cardiologist who finally diagnosed Eleanor said something that stopped her cold. "Mrs. Martinez, you've been suffering from a real physical condition for 3 years. I'm sorry it took so long to figure this out." Eleanor broke down crying in the doctor's office, not from sadness, but from relief. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't just anxious. Her body had been fighting a battle no one could see. POTS, Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome. It's a condition where the nervous system struggles to regulate blood flow when you change positions. Most people had never heard of it. Most doctors associated it with young women, not seniors like Eleanor. "The truth is," Dr. Richardson explained, "POTS can develop at any age. We're just now learning how often it affects older adults. Your symptoms are very real and they're treatable." Eleanor's treatment plan was surprisingly simple. She increased her salt and water intake dramatically. She started wearing compression stockings. She learned exercises to do while lying down to help her blood circulation. Most importantly, she learned to be patient with herself. The recovery wasn't instant. For 12 months, Eleanor had good days and bad days. Some mornings she'd wake up feeling almost normal. Other days, standing up to make coffee felt like running a marathon. But gradually, steadily, Eleanor began to feel like herself again. She started small, short walks with Buster around the block, then longer ones. She returned to the library, initially just sitting at the information desk. Eventually, she was back to shelving books and helping patrons. Bridge games resumed. Eleanor's sharp wit and competitive spirit returned. Her friends noticed the change immediately. "It's like getting my mom back," Maria said. "The real Eleanor, not the scared, confused woman who'd been suffering for so long." Today, Eleanor keeps a small notebook in her purse. In it, she's written the names of every doctor who dismissed her symptoms as anxiety, not out of anger, but as a reminder. "I never want another person to go through what I went through," she says. "Being told you're imagining your own suffering, it's devastating." Eleanor's story isn't unique. Research shows that nearly 70% of people with POTS are initially misdiagnosed with anxiety disorders. For older adults, the chances of misdiagnosis are even higher. Doctors often expect POTS in young women, not seniors, but Eleanor's case proves that this condition doesn't discriminate by age. Her message to other seniors is powerful. Trust yourself. You know your body better than anyone else. If something feels wrong, if you're experiencing symptoms that don't make sense, keep asking questions, keep looking for answers. Eleanor also wants people to know that POTS is treatable. Even when it develops later in life, even when it takes years to diagnose, recovery is possible. "I lost 3 years of my life to a condition that could have been managed from the beginning," Eleanor reflects. "But I got my life back. And if you're struggling with similar symptoms, you can get yours back too." The key is persistence. Don't let anyone dismiss your symptoms as just anxiety or just getting older. Your health is worth fighting for, no matter what your age. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is trust yourself when no one else will.